podcast and YouTube blog covering the German startup scene with news, interviews, and live events.
Hello and welcome everybody. This is Joe from Startuprad.io in our series together with Hessen Trade and Invest and their brand European Enterprise Network. We present to you today an interview in our sub-podcast Tech Startups Germany. Therefore, I would like to welcome a returning guest. Hey, Lukas, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Hi, how are you?
I'm doing good as well. We may hint to our audience that you are a returning guest, having had our last interview back in 2019 with the startup Minds Medical, and apparently something has changed. The thing that changed is Ingo here, because you guys got acquired. And Ingo, can you introduce yourself?
Yes, hello. My name is Ingo. As you can see, I'm sitting in the car, not riding the car, parking it, and enjoying the podcast here. So I'm a senior partner with SYNPULSE, a global tech and consulting company, and I will tell more about our story with Lukas and Minds Medical later.
Great. Lukas, can you first take us a little bit on the ride that is known to everybody as Corona and recession, how he got through with Minds Medical since, let's say, rule of thumb, outbreak of Corona?
So, as some of the listeners might remember, Minds Medical is a machine learning company structuring unstructured data in the healthcare industry and insurance industry, and focused on hospitals back then, still in 2020, to automate processes and reimbursement processes in hospitals. And when Corona hit, basically all the hospitals stopped picking up the phone because they were obviously quite busy with doing other things, and we sort of had to figure out how to deal with that. And SYNPULSE, and that we managed to work through that was no small part, thanks to SYNPULSE and the great people over there, because we just had started a cooperation in the insurance industry for risk pre-inquiries in the disability insurance market, and to build a joint program or joint application there together. And so we completely shifted our focus from only healthcare or mostly healthcare to health insurance and life insurance. And obviously it was a tough time. Back then we were 10 people in the company, had just gotten another funding and kind of the things that also helped surviving Corona, so to speak. But we pivoted and basically left the hospitals to be hospitals and do their thing, and refocused completely on the insurance industry. And got to know SYNPULSE a lot better. We knew each other since 2017, I believe, but started the joint venture there together, and approaching clients and building a great product. And that's one of the reasons we survived, even though with a little smaller team then.
Well, the main goal is survival, so congratulations on that. When you've been talking, you could either classify yourself steadily as a big data, as an AI startup, as an analytics startup, or you could say, well, we've been a medtech startup and now we pivoted to be a fintech or insurtech.
We are AI structuring unstructured data in fintech and insurtech. So we're joining. We have a clear focus, industry focus, but also a clear technology focus for intelligent document processing, basically.
I vividly remember the story of another guest who was in aviation, and basically the same story. Corona broke out. Nobody picked up the phone anymore. So, you have not been alone, but it's a tough time for all the startups hit there really to survive. And when you pivoted, when you went into financial services, that's the point it makes sense for Ingo and SYNPULSE to come in. Ingo, can you tell us a little bit about first what the cooperation was all about with Minds Medical?
Yeah, I can. Lukas mentioned it already. So it was a specific solution for insurers to classify and extract medical information from documents. And as you were referring to Corona, a funny story on my side, and I know you have listeners in New York. So I spent half of the time of Corona in New York, actually. And what we learned then was, from one day to the other, people didn't pick up the phones and they couldn't access any physical documents anymore. And so digitizing them and reading and understanding them became actually business critical from one day to the other. And that was true in banking, for, let's say, heavy compliance processes and for insurance as well. And I think this is really a global story. And I mentioned at the beginning, we are a global company and we believe what Lukas and his team of Minds Medical, brought to the table is something that has global potential. And it is about, as said, understanding what is in documents, unstructured, and helping key roles, expert roles within insurance companies like underwriters, like claims adjusters, to do their job, but even better, right? So concentrate on understanding what is in the document and not just reading through lengthy pages.
We may take a few steps back because depending on the podcast, there is sometimes 60 to 80% of our audience not from Germany. And we may explain that Germans love to be insured on everything. If you do have this kind of insurance on a car, it's called Vollkasko because everything is paid for and therefore it's referred to in German as Vollkasko-Mentalität. So a lot of Germans do like to do a lot of insurance. That's why it's not only a big business here, but it's a big business in Germany. And that's why there's a need for you guys. Ingo, you referred to underwriters that are basically the people in the insurance company. They take a look at the case, at the document, at the person who wants insurance, and they either say go or no go. Basically, that's their job, and that's where formerly Minds Medical, now SYNPULSE S8 comes in, getting data from unstructured data into really structured data. Lukas, what kind of information are we talking about here to support the Vollkasko-Mentalität?
So that's unstructured data, especially in the healthcare part, comes in uncounted forms. This can be semi-structured questionnaires where people handwrite some information in it, checking boxes, or it can be doctor's letters, OR letters, or all kind of medical discharge letters, all these kind of things. And to give you an example why to extract these information is quite difficult and can't be hard programmed into a software is that one university hospital in Germany I've been working with has 170 different forms for discharging people. 170 forms, word formats for that. So they come in a gazillion different types. So you need software and you need machine learning, natural language processing to capture that information and actually understand what's in there. And you can't work there with some basic OCR and forms basically. So it comes in all kinds of forms, and we're talking medical language, we are talking lay language as well. So people describing, especially in the insurance industry, like if I'm describing my heart disease in a certain way, I'm certainly going to describe it as a professor, doctor something, who's talking about that. Or I'm going to say, oh, my back hurts, and somebody from the medical part would describe it fairly differently. So to capture that information
then it is called lumbago, back pain.
Right. So with these kind of difficulties, we have to work on a daily basis with our software, because these underwriters get this information mostly in an email with which is free text already, then questionnaires and all these attachments that they have collected over the years from different doctors from different parts, and this problem is only going to increase in the future when we have the electronic patient file, where they not only collect the data they happen to keep in the last 10 years or that they find somewhere and take a photo of it, but the collected health data in that form is going to be collected in an online repository where then hundreds and hundreds of these unstructured data forms will be presented to the underwriter, and they will be like, oh, now I have to read that? How do I do that with a couple of people in my department?
I see the business case. I'll soon get to Ingo again. But I've been doing some research while you've been speaking. There are more than 1,880 hospitals right now in Germany. And if they all have 17 discharge forms, we're talking about more than 30,000 different form pages here just to discharge patients, just in order to give the people here an insight what size we are talking about here. Ingo is already smiling. And the thing is, what you are referring to is Germany is moving slowly into a phase of keeping all medical data on a chip on your health insurance card. So Germany has a legal requirement to have health insurance that usually goes along with a card with a chip on it. And with this, you can give your doctor access to all the data because before that, it used to be the case, you have to fill out like 17, 18, 19, 20 pages because the doctors want to start to understand the patient. And that now changes with this how is it officially called? Digitale Krankenakte?
EPA, elektronische Patientenakte, EPA.
Okay. And then it totally makes sense if you guys can make a structured data out of that. And I do believe that is where I hand over to Ingo, who will tell us about the business case and how awesome this will be.
Oh yeah, it is. And as I mentioned, we strongly believe in let's say the transformation and the accelerated digitization that is going on in the insurance space, in the health space, everywhere. And so when we partnered with Lukas and his team, we built a joint offering very specific for this disability insurance in Germany. But we learned that this is actually something, as said, generic. You can improve the situation for everybody, by the way, for the sender, for the receiver, because you're quicker in processing the documents. You make better.
What Ingo refers to is actually an occupational disability insurance. Lukas, I'm not really sure if this is existing in any other country out there, maybe Austria and Switzerland as well, but many people listening.
It is a very German specific thing, as you say, Vollkasko mentality. But it's a great insurance, and about 30% of the people in Germany have that sort of insurance already, because it protects them from disability during their working lifetime, and helps them feed their family should something unexpected happen, like a disease, an accident, or whatever. So they can do that, and to sell these insurances, brokers are used. And they bring this information to the insurance companies. So that's that. But I think what Ingo was going at is that building this offering for insurance companies in a very specific offering German market, with SYNPULSE 8, we are building a product portfolio, a product ecosystem for the insurance market, for a global insurance and financial industry market, where the intelligent document processing is only one small part of that whole offering we bring to the market. And we want to expand our portfolio, our technologies to financial services and insurance companies all over the world. So it really is about scaling Mainz Medical focused on a German market and scaling that to a global audience in insurance and financial services, and leaving that little German space of health insurance and life insurance, and bring this to banks, other insurance, reinsurance on a global scale, and integrating that into the Pulse 8 ecosystem, product ecosystem, where we will be really a full stop shop um, consulting and technology company with SYNPULSE and SYNPULSE 8. So
Mhm.
this is bigger than Mainz Medical, obviously.
Mhm. And don't get me wrong, I totally understand why you could not do this with 4 people. And of course, going a little bit more general totally makes sense. By the way, I just checked, and in 2021, more than 14 million people in Germany had such an occupational disability insurance. So that totally makes sense. So, can you help us a little bit to understand how this acquisition process actually worked? I have in mind you, Lukas, and Ingo sitting in the evening over a beer, and he asks you, "Hey, can I buy you a beer or your company?" How?
Pretty much. Uh, we met 2017 at the Munich main train station, and that was the first meeting, and Ingo was kind enough to buy me a coffee at least before asking that. No, I'm kidding. And we've been in contact and doing RFPs together for healthcare and things together. So this was in no means a cold call. Ingo, hey, I'd like to buy you coffee and your company, and let's see where this goes. It has been a years long partnership. With getting to know each other, how we operate, what kind of people we are, because mergers and acquisitions in this space, in my opinion, only work out in the long term if the founders want to be kept invested in it, if it works on a personal level, and the post-merger integration works, that the people in the company, that the culture is a fit. And we were lucky enough that we could figure out that this culture is so similar and is set on a growth mindset, and on a personal level, that we can do that. And obviously, then Ingo, maybe you can also join in from your perspective. But from my perspective, it was a very natural thing when you approached us and say, hey, the partnership is going great, but could you think about what do you think about if we extend that, if we make that more formalized partnership? And for me, that was a very natural question to come, and I was very happy that Ingo asked that question. The whole team joined SYNPULSE. No, I'm not at liberty to say.
Oh, too bad, too bad.
But 100% of Mainz Medical got acquired.
100% of Mainz Medical got acquired. Okay, I see. Thing is, for me right now, I'm interested in how you guys are planning to conquer the world. What are the next steps you guys will be doing here together with SYNPULSE? And by the way, your team remains here in Hessen and Rhine-Main, right?
That's right. SYNPULSE is set up as a remote, or especially S8 is set up as a global and remote first company. So obviously we have still the Mainz Medical office in Frankfurt, where the team that remains in Frankfurt regularly meets. But the main office from SYNPULSE Germany is in Düsseldorf. But we are a global company with our headquarters in Switzerland, and now I think 1,300 people working globally, with a huge growing market in the APAC area, but also expanding to the United States. And S8 already has, I think, 600 people working that, and we're aiming to grow another, I don't know, 30, 40, 50% this year alone. So and that's actually part of the plan to conquer the world, where I said earlier that Mainz Medical's nucleus of machine learning expertise and products is only a very small part of the offering that is being brought to the market, because we very much believe that our client and our client base wants the stability Ingo was referring to, not only have consultants working there and producing slides and producing management advice, but also building products that scale, that are products that are hosted by somebody who reliable. And this is basically what we're doing. I have been spending the last 3 months since the acquisition to expanding the team. We are now working with a great stable team within SYNPULSE 8, which is in Bratislava and in Frankfurt and in the Rhine-Main area, and working together and expanding our product vision, building our first products, or stabilizing our first products, also for the financial industry. So when we talk about intelligent document processing, we think about a core architecture that is able to process any kind of documents, and then applying use case after use case after use case to that architecture, which the first use case is already being implemented and working at customers. But then we see, okay, something new is coming up, something in a different market that is scalable, that is that brings huge benefit to the customer, and then we create a new module that is plugged into that, and then we have a new use case. So we can easily scale the core of our application to new use cases. Obviously, always a little bit of retuning the models, the machine learning models, retuning that, retraining that a little bit for a new use case, because it's every time a little bit different. But at its core, we always have this document processing pipeline where some form of unstructured document comes in, is processed by humans, and put into an operating model for an automated process. And the key gap there is the humans being overwhelmed with thousands and thousands of documents in many different verticals. And for our specific clients in insurance and financial services, we're going to help be that little part in the Pulse 8 strategy to help them have better processes and enable them to do what they're really good at. And not reading a piece of paper that has been read 5 times already.
I see. What comes to mind from my personal experience is, for example, when you want to open an account for a legal entity. So you have to get all the paperwork for the legal entity, all the paperwork for the people who are actually working on behalf of this entity, maybe the owners and so on and so forth. So that's quite a lot of stuff you have to do. That was one of the use cases that came to mind for me. Ingo, what kind of other use cases do you have in mind? Unfortunately, we lost him in the parking lot again. We're really sorry, guys. Here, that is a little bit uncommon here, but Lukas stays with us. By the way, big mental high five that he is here, because he's now in a house owned by his parents-in-law, because he and his family do have corona, and therefore he is still doing this interview. Awesome. Thank you very much. Great.
Of course, for you, anytime, Joe.
Great. You guys have been headquartered here in Frankfurt, Rhine-Main. You got incorporated in 2019. Did your exit in very early 2023. What kind of support, what was useful for you in this area through your entrepreneurial journey from the start of the startup until the end?
Incorporation was 2016 already.
16.
So
I'm sorry.
No worries. Instrumental for our success were many projects that helped us get off the ground. The Exist project, many German listeners or in the entrepreneurial space will know that it is a startup grant, basically granted to entrepreneurs getting off the ground. We were able to secure this grant in the beginning. Exist to quit our jobs, our day jobs, and focus 100% on the company. Without that, we probably wouldn't have been able to do that for the first year. Then obviously we were awarded with the Frankfurter Founder Prize, first prize in 2018 for what we did. Also the innovation prize for the Hessische Gründerpreis, Hessische Founder Award in 2018 as well. So 2018 was a great year for us, which also helped to get funding. Our first funding was 2018, so 2 years after incorporation. We got the first funding with first small round with business angels, and then also in 2018, later in the later part of 2018, with the BMH Hessen Capital 3 founding or what's it called project where the state of Hessen invests in promising startups together with business angels. And so you could say the state of Hessen was very much instrumental for our success. So we could grow and build our products for the first years and do that. This was very helpful in the first years.
I see.
Also a R&D grant that was granted, the Löwe 3 project, where we were able to do R&D together with universities and do our research and project or product development in the space of transfer learning.
Great. It's always important to have experienced entrepreneurs as mentors. I hope you'll stay there here in the local startup scene. And the very last question, if you would be asked about 1 or 2 suggestions how to improve the local startup system, what would it be?
So I think there are great activities already going on with the Unibator from the Goethe University, or the or all the other activities that are going on and that really help. Sometimes I feel that, especially for young founders or first-time founders who have really no idea where to start, something where they could better find these informations or have some mentor at hand. That's always very helpful. But at the end of the day, guys, it's your startup. You want to get it off the ground, so do the legwork, ask the people, and do that. It's not something somebody's just offering you. If you are not able to build your own network and to find these things, then that's on you, on you founders. So that's the easy part of founding a company. The hard work comes after that. So I think the startup ecosystem is set up pretty well, and the help is there if you want it, but go get it. There are great people, great mentors that are willing to help you and put the money where their mouth is, and but you have to shine and do the legwork.
You have to shine. Awesome, great, amazing closing words. Thank you, Lukas, for being here. And maybe Ingo can also say his goodbye. He joined us, I do believe, for the 4th or 5th time. He always gets kicked out. Thank you for also being here, our guest as well, and doing as much explaining as you can do.
Thank you, Joe. And maybe up to a 3rd time. We'll see. No, I'm kidding. I'm very happy with SYNPULSE, but you never know.
Maybe as an investor.
Maybe as an investor. We'll see. All right.
That's all, folks. Find more news, streams, events, and interviews at www.startuprad.io. Remember, sharing is caring.